Tashitelek. I will pick up a name. Elena. Kanji Zerjo Roger Reblan Mandara Dalarjun Jenda, Dengan Jimbas is a sound Belunam Kainda, Kanjer Nepal Roger of the Gaveri Bazimba Kaimba. The Dadam Jeterba Dambegur to Besunin in a Drishe, Ladalami Miamji, Wambodan, Jajin Los Chuju Chola Chawacha Banam, Sange Songra of the Shichin the Vichuru. The Daji Jedam Bijin in Drishe, Kanta Chuju Dongajidana, the Chulamar Jurba Kans. Tengdir temperature jabji number the batam jedrije namo like the ludan jinge dum da mi janam da ro gunji danam jizambar thamje ke do dage chatan do palden zawe lama ramboje dage jur be mene june gadin chembe gone jesunde kusundu jingodur saldos tabge tuji shajiri su thu jinjimi dubji bunjam baserjulum tabruji be go shaje jabe shabla chazalo Chapton, Colojube Jaboton, Chendo Kabasambo Sange Don Kanla Kandu, Tala Terdemba Zumba Cherizella Chazalo, Seji Jawa Tamji, Shipumbo Chikduba, Sishi Kunji Paljurbe, Jambeyan La Chazolo, Kanji, Tony Shinji, Ponyan so Dawanam, Tani, Chogir Jerjeba, Dojichen La Chazalo, Corwale de Tarema, Tutare, Jigidu, Tureno Namlo Drumayum La Chazalo. Dalendaru Tudamsi, Tenjitsam Kalashi, Shivalashi Jawa, Lama della Chazalo Tenjitsam Kalashi, Shivalashi Jawa, Lama della Chazalo Shajadam Jizibijamba, Dugunjili Jube, Dujisam, Elizabeth, Jamgula Mejablo, Jazajadam Jizibijamba, Dugunjili Jube, Duji. Summit Elizabeth Lomo Jangula Major Logo Jazz so on the Solamakin. Shinji loves Solamakin. Take me go. Terchin Daniel Lama Jambal the Cheno, Chukutalu, Ningi Kolo, Namsam Kangi, Chadanso, Nesam Tachi, Tambemeba, the Gungumbe Suzuji. Jelsu to Namdra Subjing Jachetala, Nertul, Yabjing, Lashen Tala, Revaman, Chikangenta, Ninsen, Kundu Jamian Kube, Sam Jancheji Tujeshu, Choose Menya Munja Suni Rangin Bele Bise, Tadun, Chunya Majurpadu Chapshin, Solvar Majority, Hung would you Jansam, Pamakazar. Yanten choking wooden Pemajung Shizuta Kordu Kandra Mambekor Chiji Jesu Tadupchi Shinjil. Ujerumbo Jelazo, the Galjan Borjimi Joji, Dunjan Samba Drupan, Choton to Mongo Drup Saldo so. So, please generate proper motivation. The motivation to liberate all sentient beings from this never-ending net of illusion that we are all so helplessly imprisoned in, and especially generate motivation that through the merit that we will gain from hearing, contemplation and meditation of bodhicitta, the ways of bodhisattva, may all that merit remove this the current suffering of and this contagious disease and all the discomfort to personal and professional life that it brings. So many of us will lose our jobs, will lose, obviously, first of all, we'll lose our loved ones. Then we will lose our jobs, we will lose our freedom. The longer this disease lasts, I'm afraid it will also affect our daily necessities too after a while. So may our merit be potent enough that it dispels all the suffering that beings face right now. Because if we cannot wish for that, or if we do not have trust that bodhicitta can do this, then wishing enlightenment is just, it's not sincere. It cannot be sincere, because whatever that is happening now, it's not the worst suffering of samsara. It's not even a medium suffering of samsara. It's kind of compared to what's happening to the lower realms, to the animals, for example, it's really not that bad. And yet, if we do not even have confidence to actually generate bodhicitta and then dedicate the merit to the exhaustion of such a pandemic, such diseases, if we do not even have confidence that it will work, then blind dedication like, oh, may it remove all the suffering from all sentient beings, or may it remove all ignorance from all sentient beings. That's very difficult then. Anyway, so I will not waste your time. So please generate your motivation. And we are going through ways of Bodhisattva. Bodhisattvacharyavatara, it is called in Sanskrit. And this text has 10 chapters. Right now we are in the 6th chapter, which is entirely dedicated to tolerance, patience. So in this chapter, Shantideva uses so many different reasonings and logical reasonings and also emotional reasonings too. I mean, this will come afterwards, where he says things like, when beings are happy, Buddhas are pleased. When beings are not happy, Buddhas are not pleased. So these are kind of his way of emotionally motivating us. of course, the Buddha doesn't have any phenomena of being pleased or not pleased. And then, right now we're going through where he, uses logical reasonings of cause and effect. That is, to teach us patience, where he says, where does anger come from? Because you cannot remove something if you do not know the cause of it. When you try to cure a disease without knowing the cause, then it is a very temporary cure, because the causes may return, and then the result appear again. So then the causes of intolerance, which is anger, which is aggression, is, he says, discomfort. He says it's the discomfort that we feel. And then he asks again, then why do we feel discomfort? And then he says, we feel discomfort because either something that we want is not happening, or something we do not want is happening. So what are the things that we want for ourselves or to those who we love? These are the 8 worldly dharmas. And from those 8 worldly dharmas, what we want for us, for example, these days, what everybody seems to want is fame, praise, to be praised. We want that very much. We want to be loved. We want to be praised. We want to be appreciated. We want to be known. We want to be spoken good about, good of. So he likens that to because he says, what does praise do? In the previous session we have gone through it, but just to go through it again shortly to keep the flow of the text. He says the praise, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't lengthen our life. Good words, nice words, fame and praises, it doesn't lengthen our life. It doesn't make us stronger. It doesn't beautify us. It doesn't do anything. Yet for it we are willing to give everything. We are willing to waste our life. I do that a lot. So then he says it's really like a sand castle for a child. A child builds a sand castle. It's not a real castle. You cannot live inside it. It's not functionable. Yet when someone else destroys it, the child cries and complains as if a real house was destroyed. So similarly, he says fame. And these are not real. What is real is food. What is real is drinks. What is real is clothes and your relationship, your family. What is real is do you benefit others or not? By actually helping, actually sustaining a life. So these are all real. But we have gone so far away. I mean, we have departed from the reality, and we have now we have reached a state where it is as real as food. It is as real as anything else in our life. So he says that's exactly like a child, because when you analyze, it doesn't do anything to you actually. whether someone likes you or not, whether someone says something good about you or not, it doesn't affect you directly, but it's just, these are just words, and they are useless. If someone says you are beautiful or you are a very nice person, that doesn't mean you become beautiful or you become a nice person just because someone says that. It's just like a fake house. It looks like a house, but it's not a house. So these praises and good words, they're not you. They're just words created by someone else, yet we identify ourselves with that. So like that, these are really, we really need to contemplate on this. People like me especially, who try to be seen as a teacher type, so then you have to manage some sort of image. You have to calculate your steps, and you have to calculate, oh, do I say this or do I do this? And it's really not a nice thing. And if it is not generated from a good place, like for the sake of Dharma, or to not disturb anybody like this, if it's not coming from that type of place, then it is very, very egoistic. And I catch myself doing this a lot. Now 94. Oh, I wasted so many times now. Okay, so how to say, I wasted a lot of minutes. 94, stanza 94 is, where is it? Aha. Reshik dala semechir thala tosem yumisi shen thala shenga shitra bateni gawe in tongues. So short-lived sound, devoid of intellect, can never in itself intend to praise me. I say that it's the joy that others take in me. It's this that is the cause of my delight. But then he says, I don't know how did they get short-lived sound, Rishik. Anyway, but then he says, now sound does not possess a mind, he says. Praise, the words, good words, it doesn't possess a mind. So then, obviously, the words of praise do not intend to praise me, because it doesn't have a consciousness, So, how to say, that cannot be a cause of our joy and delight, because it doesn't want to praise you, And anyway, before he says, the sound doesn't touch you, sound doesn't make you live long, it doesn't do anything. But then, if we think, yes, where is this true? But when people praise me, it's because they see that I am, they see some great qualities in me, and it makes them happy. Because I give them food and I made them happy, and so now they want to do something good for me, and I let them praise me, because when they praise me, they also feel good about themselves. They also feel like they're doing something for me, so I let them do it. If you say that, yes, well, but when they think about me, they're happy, and I want them to, that's why they're praising me. So when they praise me, they become happy, of course, which actually is true. When you praise somebody, it makes you happy. When you praise somebody, it removes jealousy and these things from your mind, which is happiness, which is pure joy, which is such a freedom, right? But here the logic doesn't pan out, not in this way. He says, I like when people praise me because it makes them happy when they praise me, right? So he says, Shenamyana talarun shenga tala chishik pen gade teni teni jitagi tele shemetops. Okay, this next stanza, he says, but what is it to me if others take delight in someone else or even in myself? Their pleasures theirs, and theirs alone. No part of it is felt by me. So this one first is very kind of logic, direct logic. So when people praise me and feel happy about it, or praise someone else and feels joy, whatever it is, their joy of liking someone else is their own. It is their own joy. It is generated by themselves, and it is felt by themselves, experienced by themselves. I have no part in it. It doesn't flow to me. It doesn't, I do not get it, actually. What I am getting actually is the joy of my desire, not their joy is coming to me, right? Very, very, very good reasoning. This. And he says, oh, I have to read the English. These are really nice, very good stanzas, strong stanzas. If something does not come to be when that can't be. Stanza 96. If I am happy at the joy of those who take delight, then everyone should be a source of joy to me. When people take delight in others, why am I not happy at their pleasures? So he says, I don't believe you that you feel happy because someone else is happy, and that's why you want them to praise you. I don't believe you when you say that, because if that is the case, if that is the case, then it should be common for all beings. When someone praises you, you become happy. Well, that's good. They're praising someone else other than themselves, which means their jealousy is going down. They're not feeling competitive right now. They're feeling, they're being very kind right now. That's good. Yeah. And then when they praise someone else, you should also be happy. Or when someone else gain fame, wealth, and become joyful and happy, you should also be happy, because your reason why people should praise you, the reason was or why do you like being praised, is that your reason is that it makes people happy. That's why I want them to praise me. So similarly, he says, when they praise someone else, it should be the same. But when these same people stops praising you and starts praising someone else, why are you feeling uncomfortable? He says, that because all the causes of your joy is there. They're still happy. They're praising someone else other than themselves. So you should be happy about it. You're a bodhisattva, but you don't. You feel left out. You become jealous. You start looking for the faults of others, and so starts the intolerance, the cycle of intolerance, right? Because something you want is not happening, and when they praise your enemy, for example, then something you don't want is happening. Tewe thane te doje rangi gawa ke jurwa teya tedar mite bi chibe choba konar says. The stanza 97. The satisfaction that is mine from thinking I am being praised is unacceptable to common sense and nothing but the antics of a silly child. Sorry. So, because of these reasons, your reasoning that I want to be praised by people because it makes them happy. That's why I want them to praise me. This reason is again another sort of character, another characteristics or another sort of game of a child who wants to protect his or her sandcastle, so it's just another way of making sure that your balloon, your bubble that you have created for yourself do not burst. Says, yeah. Now these are really good reasoning now. Actually, I'm sorry I keep saying this because the whole text is really, that's how you know that it is an authentic Dharma teaching, because there is no part of this text that will not liberate us. There is no I dare even say there's not even one line in this text that which will not liberate us. It's it doesn't cater to what we want, which is why this type of text, it will never become as popular as I'm getting distracted. So he says Teso thani yengwarchi, teni chowang jigbarchi, yentendela chawdoda punsum sobang jigbarchis. And not only the do praises, fame, not only do they not benefit us in any way, actually, they bring us enormous harm. He says they bring us enormous harm and suffering. Praise and compliments distract me, sapping my revulsion with samsara. I start to envy others their good qualities. I start to envy others for their good qualities, maybe for, and thus all excellence is ruined. Now this is important. Next time, it's a very difficult, especially for teachers, for example. These days, it seems the main job of people is to talk. It's really the era of speech. Whoever can speak best and first sort of seem to be successful. And for example, right now we have this really bad condition, this disease that is going around. Many people die, people are scared, they're staying home. And then suddenly there is a surge of online teaching going on. First of all, it seems everyone has something to say, why not? And somehow everyone has become like a teacher. Sharing, that's what we call, I want to share something with others. And I'm not so sure how it must be my own impure perception, no doubt it is. Sometimes I feel, I don't know how honest is the motivation, and I myself, I have been told by some friends couple of times that I should now make something, say something. People are staying home, sort of, and I'm sure they have the best motivation, but I don't, and it gave me an impression that now is the time. So it's like a market, and now is the time for me to say something. If I say something good, more people will notice me, and it will be. So then I just didn't say anything, because and it's difficult because in a way, for example, as a Dhamma teacher, you really need to balance it out. The thing is that you feel, the more people I reach, the more people I can kind of speak to about Dharma. But then again, sometimes you have this greed. I want to reach more people. I want to be more known, and I'm not sure our motivation is always for Dharma. It really many times our motivation is pushed by for a livelihood, for some sort of fame, and all the same boring things. So this is why it is so difficult, and I think people like us, actually all of us, we really need to remember these things, because now more than ever each individual have this enormous power, pseudo power actually, but power nonetheless, that each one of us can talk directly to the world. Each one of us can reach hundreds, thousands of people just like that, and I think it caters to a certain hunger within us, and we really need to remember these type of words, where he says, he says, I am a practitioner. I want to be useful for sentient beings, and I cannot be useful for sentient beings as long as I am completely engrossed, completely obsessed with myself. So or in other words, I cannot help sentient beings as long as I'm completely entangled in 8 worldly dharmas, and I need to free myself of that. I need to practice, have a clear mind to practice. So what happens is that when I am praised, when I am offered wealth, or when I am put up a little bit high, or when I, basically, when these interactions get more and more, what it does is that, first of all, I am distracted. Automatically, I am distracted, he says. Yang varches. Then, what happens when you're distracted? Oh, distraction distraction destroys my renunciation, my heart of sadness that I have. It is feeling sad for others, feeling sad for samsara, feeling sad for our, this powerless following of cause and effect. It is, as Khyentse Rinpoche would say, it is wealth of noble beings. Pape Nordun, there are 7 wealth of noble beings, and one of them is having renunciation. And so it is something you really need to work hard toward. Because sometimes people say, "Oh, I cannot practice because I don't have renunciation," as if renunciation should just come by itself, and if it is there, then you will practice. If it's not there, you can. But actually, it's not. Renunciation itself is a practice, meaning it has to be earned. It has to be sort of developed. So he says, when I run after praise and all these things, I will be distracted. When I'm distracted, distractions will destroy my renunciation. There you go. When you don't have renunciation, obviously you don't have a path. You don't have a liberation. Not only that, what I will do then is that now when I don't have renunciation, I will really crave for samsaric gains. And when you do that, when someone else has more qualities than you, when someone else gets more gain, more praise, and someone who really deserve it, let's say. Actually, I don't know what the term deserve it means, but let's use it. Someone who really deserves, someone who is a really good practitioner, you will be jealous of them. Someone who is, even if they're not good practitioner, yet they're more successful than you, you will get jealous of them, like this. You will be jealous of those who have qualities that you do not possess, that you have lost, that you destroy from yourself, within yourself. So what does it do? Not only does praise and all this destroys your qualities, accumulate negative karma, which will destroy your well-being, which will destroy your well-being. Next life will be difficult, this life will be difficult, and all for what? All because you mindlessly pursued a path that actually really has no real meaning, so to speak, like this. So this is for ourselves too. Again, please do never quote these stanzas on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere. Don't do that when someone else is doing something and then you, as if you can convince them. Never going to happen. These are for our contemplation. And when someone actually comes to you and say, "Please help me," or "I want to talk to you," then you use this, and these are really good. Yes, these are really jewels that we are given. Now this is really amazing. Things like that, really. 99. Those who stay close by me then to damage my good name and cut me down to size are surely there protecting me from falling into realms of grief. Okay. Really, nobody thinks like this. I mean, I don't. It's just really so good. He says, okay, so what does praise and all this do? Wealth and fame, all this do is that it distracts you. When you don't have, you need to accumulate it. When you have now, you need to keep it, which is almost impossible in this day and age. So in all this, you lose your renunciation, and you generate competitive. You become competitive. You become jealous of others and all that. So it really brings a lot of suffering, he says. So then those who bullies us, those who criticize or spread scandals about us, regardless of those are true or not, but when they do, those who destroys our good name, so to speak, they are, since this good name, since this good image really distracts us from dharma, and it brings a lot of non-dharma, adharma, anti-dharma, so to speak. Someone who really destroys our good name, who really sort of harms us in this way, what they're doing is that, he says, isn't it so that they are protecting you, they are protecting us from falling into the lower realms? It's like, because when we have fame, when we have good name, when we have all that, it distracts us, and then it leads us to lower realms. But when we don't have those things, then it really makes us see what is important. It really makes us take us back to our roots many times. I remember this Zen story, and I don't remember if it's from China or Japan. I have a feeling it's from China, one of those Chan masters. There used to be this great master who was very well known and supposedly enlightened, realized master, I guess. His main student, the person that everybody thinks is his successor now, the successor of this old master, and the master himself says many times that he is my successor, he is going to be my successor. The master, no matter how much he tried, his successor just would not see the Buddha nature, so to speak. He wouldn't get any realization. He would meditate and practice, but nothing would work. And at the end, what the master did is that the master scolded him in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I think even to an extent to say that you have lost your vows, you're not a real monk, you're fake, and all that. And he kicked him out. And people really believe that, all that, because this is a great master, he's an old master. So they all believed him, and they all treated this person very, very horribly. And then when all the fake sort of sand castle was gone, he could actually see what was most important for him. Not the image, not this everyday struggle to keep up some sort of name, but the most important for him was to get liberated, to serve his master and to serve sentient beings. And his mind got back to the basic, so to speak, and he got liberated, it said. he got the realization of Buddha nature or whatever. And then the master called him back and sort of said, okay, now he will be my successor. It's true. It really does. Suffering really brings these type of... that's why when we suffer, when we have a problem, we really want to, we feel like, oh, you know what? I want to leave everything. I want to go somewhere quiet and meditate, But of course, our wish like this do not last. It's just for a day. It's just for an hour, and then we watch something and we really distract and numb ourselves. We do not nurture that sort of glimpse of reality, because when we suffer for a little while, things become clear to us. What is actually important here? This is it, not all this, the rest, but this is more important. But then we distract ourselves and nothing happens, But I guess that's the difference between these good practitioners and mediocre practitioners like myself. So then he says, so when someone knowingly and gladly destroys my fame, isn't that person protecting me from lower realms, he says? And then he goes on, stanza 100. For I am one who strives for freedom. I must not be caught by wealth and honors. How could I be angry with the ones who work to free me from my fetters? It's really true. Very difficult though, but true. I wish for liberation. Now, liberation is not a different place where you go to, like this is where I work, that's why I go for holiday, right? Like that, right? It's not like that. Liberation is not a place. It's not a time. It's not a status, so to speak. Liberation is the exhaustion of ignorance. It's the exhaustion of ignorance, and we cannot expect to free ourselves from ignorance while we nurture more and more future sort of trees and plants and seeds of ignorance. We cannot expect to be free from that while we keep watering it, right? So so he says, I wish to be liberated, so I do not need to be I do not need to be near the kurti chingmegu, to be tied down by wealth and respect and offerings, fame. So then those who destroys this bondage of my attachment to fame, good name, praise, and someone else comes and destroys all that, shatters my hold, this pseudo world. How can I be angry at that person for showing me what is the real deal, what is really happening? How can I be aggressive to such person? I will be tolerant, he says. Tarni dungal jugde la sange chin chinlap shin metong gopar ni juruba Tela tani jitar chos again. They, like Buddha's very blessing, bar my way, determined as I am to plunge myself headlong in sorrow. How can I be angry with them? Again, he uses another tactic, because we are follower of Shakyamuni Buddha, and we request blessings from Buddha. So during, we have many accounts in the sutras where a bodhisattva is about to do something wrong, and then the Buddha appears, or bodhisattva appears, and other bodhisattvas like Manjushri, Maitreya appear and then stops them from doing such things. So all that, and so that's basically their blessing, right? They're helping someone. So similarly here too, he says, like the blessing of the Buddha, like the blessing of the Buddha, it doesn't let me enter the realm of lower realms, enter the realm of hell or hungry ghosts or animal, all this. It doesn't let me enter the world of suffering. While I myself, foolish me, I myself really strive to get more suffering, it seems. But this so-called enemy, is really like the blessing of Buddha, who closes that door, who is like the lock on the door to the world of suffering. It really blocks future suffering for me. So how can I be angry at such a person? Oh, this is difficult, but wonderful. And that's the beauty of this text. If you can actually practice this, obviously beneficial, but even when you cannot practice like this, but to think that there are many others who do this, and to actually and to at least practice this sort of mentally, let your mind run through these stanzas, get immersed in these stanzas. It's immense blessing, and I'm sure we will notice if we immerse our mind in these stanzas every day, or whenever we can, we will see a lot of changes in our behavior, the way we think. Dini sonam gekcheche tela towa rigmente sosun katu yemina tela tani minesams. But then some of us think, yes, but these enemies, they do not let me do my practice, so they disturb the generation of merit. So that's why I am angry at them. You feel sort of righteous about it. Then he says, I should not be irritated, saying they are obstacles to my good deeds. For is not patience the supreme austerity? And should I not abide by this? Stanza 102. So we think, because some of us will think, yes, but they really disturb me, they don't let me practice and all that. So he says, well, so basically what you're saying is that they are disturbing, they are blocking your generation of merit. But that's not a good reason to be angry at them, to be aggressive towards them, because in this world there is no merit which is greater than patience, than tolerance. There's no austerity, there's no practice which is greater than tolerance. And that can only happen when you have a difficult situation, when everything is working well. You cannot have tolerance. Hence, you cannot have that merit that comes from tolerance. You can never have what do you call it, paramita of tolerance, when there is no one or nothing to be tolerant of. Anyway, the logic follows. I mean, no, not that the logic follows. I mean, it's the same flow of logic. Kalte taune rangkyun ji tel dila zobra mechen sonam juni nyene ba dila thagek chebar says. And if I fail to practice patience, hindered by my own shortcomings, I myself create impediments to merit's causes, yet so close at hand. Okay. So, kalte tani rangkyun jidila zubra michenas. So, this so-called enemy has created this perfect ground for me to practice tolerance. I wish we never forget this. So this so-called enemy they have done their part, but I don't have tolerance. So they have done their part, but then if I don't have tolerance, that means it is my fault. Because of my anger, because of my pessimistic views, I do not have tolerance. I do not practice tolerance. Hence, I lose this amazing opportunity to practice tolerance, to really go far on the path. So I block myself. I block my own progress. He says, Kate tani rangyunji tela zebar mijenas. Where is it? Sonam june nyene badila thaki chebar. So then what does that mean? That means that even though the cause of immense merit was in front of me, I blocked my own path and I did not let immense merit grow in me because, of my own fault. So this is my own fault. Kanchi kame mijung la kanchi yuna yujurba tengi te juina dilla jedar tella gekshe chas. Another wonderful reasoning. 104. If something does not come to be when something else is absent, and thus arise that factor being present, that factor is indeed its cause. How can it then be said to hinder it? So he says, if you still doubt that this enemy is a cause of your tolerance, that difficult situation is good for bodhisattvas, good for practitioners, if you still doubt that, so let's think about it. He says, when something is kangshi kangme mijunglas, when the absence of something means absence of something else too, like fire and smoke. When there is no fire, there cannot be smoke. So the absence of fire means absence of smoke. Why? Because they are cause and effect. You can prove the cause and effect of two things by saying, okay, this thing will only happen when that thing happens. How to say, plant will only grow, a tree will only grow when there is a seed there. When there is no seed, when there has never been a seed, there can never be a plant. So they are cause and effect like this. Similarly, he says, when there is no enemy, there can be no tolerance. So, and when there is an enemy, there can be tolerance. That the tolerance can only happen. Wait, let me. So, actually, this is a very important syllogistic sort of reasoning in Buddhist what do you call it, pramana. It's basically I just forgot how pramana is translated. Anyway, sort of Buddhist reasonings, ways of debating, ways of reasoning with oneself and ways of reasoning with others. Pramana, we call it sema, right? You have seen monks and nuns debating, So all that debate follows these rules. So one of the most important rule is this rule of cause and effect. So, to prove that these two things are cause and effect, you have to, to prove that, then you have to prove that if the cause is not there, then the effect can also not arise. So that's one way, and then you have to prove that if the effect is seen, then it means the cause was there. The cause was there, like fire and smoke. Meaning, when you want to prove to someone that fire and smoke is cause and effect, if this person is really slow, let's say, so then you have to or for yourself, not just to prove others, for yourself to know that fire and smoke is cause and effect. First thing you have to notice is fire. First you notice an empty space. There's nothing here. Then you notice a fire. Then you notice smoke. Not only here, everywhere. Wherever you see a fire, then afterwards you see a smoke. So that makes you think, maybe fire is the cause of smoke. And then whenever you see a place where there is no fire, and you see no smoke, with that sort of logic, then you can say, if there is a smoke, there has to be a fire, and you can say, if there is no fire, there can be no smoke. So this is what he's saying. The first line says, if something is not there, if the absence of something means absence of something else, if there is no fire, there can be no smoke. And if the presence of something means the presence of something else, if there is a smoke, there has to be a fire. So in this case, the first line, if the absence of something means the absence of something else, which is, if there is no enemy, there can be no tolerance, right? If there is no fire, there is no smoke. And then the second thing is, if the presence of something means the presence of something else, meaning if there is tolerance, there has to be an enemy. if there is a tolerance, there is something that is disturbing you. So there's a tolerance to that. There is a patience to that. So when these two is complete, then they are cause and effect. So which means that the enemy is a cause of tolerance. Then how can you call the enemy a disturbance of your practice? Because tolerance is the highest form of practice, and that is generated based on an uncomfortable situation, like your enemy. For example, Tus Jimbe Longmove, Jimbe Gekchi Yomain, Rab the Jimber Chejurba, Rabjung Gekchi Charmerung. He says, the beggars who arrive at proper times are not an obstacle to generosity. We cannot say that those who give the vows are hindrances to ordinations. He gives two examples, one of beggar, one of an abbot. So, let's say there is a bodhisattva who wants to practice generosity. But, so the bodhisattva goes around looking, who should I benefit, let's say the bodhisattva have some food to give or some wealth, some money or whatever. But if nobody asks for it, nobody wants it, let's say, nobody begs. So then bodhisattva has nowhere to practice generosity, you understand? So, at that moment, a beggar comes and says, please give me money, please give me food, So then that beggar is actually the cause of Bodhisattva's generosity. Bodhisattva happily gives whatever wants, because Bodhisattva made up their mind. I want to give this. Who do I give this? Someone comes, please give me this. And he gave it. So then in that moment, that beggar, that person is also a big cause of the generosity. So how can we call it this obstacle of generosity? It would be absurd. Similarly, let's say someone wants to become ordained as a monk or a nun, and then they look around and they find an abbot. They find an acharya, and the complete set of sangha who can give them the ordination. So this sangha is a cause of you getting your ordination. It would be absurd to call them the obstacle of my ordination, because they are the very cause. When they are there, I can be ordained. When the beggars are there, I can practice my generosity. Similarly, when the enemy is there, then I can practice tolerance. When there is someone who is doing something to you, then you can practice tolerance. When nobody does anything, then you. And he says, although beggars and enemies are both causes of merit, but in this world, for a bodhisattva, bodhisattva will find many beggars in this world. Some who want your time, some who want your advices, some who want your money, whatever, some who want to use you. So bodhisattva will find, he says, bodhisattva will meet a lot of beggars, but bodhisattva will not meet many enemies. Why? Because the bodhisattva himself or herself is a kind person, is a beneficial to the society. So when the bodhisattva do not harm others, no one will harm the bodhisattva too. Very few people will harm the bodhisattva. So he says, actually, enemies are very rare. Beggars are not rare at all. So, how to say, when you want to be generous, and then you see a really poor, sort of person was going through such a difficult time, and you give something to that person. What has happened is that this person have benefited from you, and you have benefited from this person because you have practiced generosity, right? So similarly, he says, let's say the Bodhisattva want to practice tolerance, but if nobody does anything to the Bodhisattva, if everyone behaves, there is no one to be tolerant about, right? This is why the great Ngulchu Thome says, when the stomach is full and the sun is warm, we are all good practitioners. He says, Dhamma practitioners. When difficult circumstances fall upon us, we all show our true color. We all become very mundane beings, tamalpas. So, ditar parno majina tewe ngalwe madrube kim de terni chungwa dar changjuchebe thogyurbe thagi dala gavarchas. I will speak a little bit longer. Usually I only make my talk 1 hour because you guys are super busy, I know, but these days you have nowhere to go, I guess. Some of you are still working, and but most of you, I guess, are at home, so I'm hoping that I can push and add at least 10 or 15 more minutes. Yeah. So like a treasure found at home that I have gained without fatigue, my enemies are helpers in my bodhisattva work, and therefore they should be a joy to me. It is very easy, right? So, to read through is so easy. Meaning, tewe ngalwe madruwe kim de tene chungwatars. So, it's really like I am just lying down at my home without doing anything in quarantine, and suddenly a great treasure falls on my roof, appears in front of me without any work at all. So it's really like this, he says, that you just stay home, you don't do anything, and this great sphere of merit or wealth, treasure appears in front of you. So an enemy is like that, that an enemy is actually something that a bodhisattva should like, because they are true friend of my practice. There is an account of how Atisha, the great Indian master, when he came to Tibet, he brought usually when great panditas, great masters would come, they will be accompanied by other masters too, who are either their direct students or so Atisha had his retinue. In his retinue there were some monks, some learned panditas who were really disrespectful to him, and to an extent that some of his Tibetan students, they ask him, like, why do you bring these people here with you? Why do you do that? Why do you make sure that they go wherever you go? And then Atisha said, they are really, because of them, I generate so much merit every day. Whatever they do, I try to be tolerant, and it really helps me to see. So this is like that. Enemies are like treasures. So didan thagi drupena tejer sope devune dilla thomar darwe de didar teni zope ju 108. Since I have grown in patience thanks to them its first fruits I should give, for of my patience they have been the cause. Okay, so didan thagi drupena since my patience is generated half by me and half by the enemy, so together we have generated this great merit of patience. The result of this patience, the result of this merit will first be dedicated towards this enemy, towards this person who have harmed me, because this person is the main cause of patience, not me. Because of this person there is a patience, so I will dedicate merit first to them. But then if you think kalde sudup samebe dadi choja mention a druba in jurung what tambe choja chi the church. These are really wonderful reasoning. I'm so happy that we could go through this. He says, and if I say my foes should not be honored, since they did not mean to stimulate my patience, why do I revere the sacred dharma? Because indeed of my attainment. What does that mean? How did they get there? Wait. Why do I revere the sacred dharma, cause indeed of my attainment? Or why do I revere the sacred dharma, which is the cause of my attainment? Yeah. Okay. So, but then I think, well, someone does something bad to me, and I tolerate and I gain merit, but it's not that this person really wanted for me to gain merit. This person is not harming me to benefit me, right? So why should I dedicate my merit to that person? If I say that, kalde sudupsa mebe dadi choja mention. So why should I make offering to this enemy? Because they don't really want to help me. They have no wish to benefit me. So why do I make offering of my merit to them? So then he says, but then the main cause of your practice, which is the Buddha Dharma, the main cause of your attainment, which is the Buddha Dharma, the noble Dharma. Why do you make offering to the noble Dharma too? Because the noble Dharma has no wish whatsoever to benefit you. Why do you make offering to that too? But then you say, well, there's a difference, because it's true that both the noble Dharma, which is the main cause of my practice, I would not be able to practice if I don't know the Dharma, right? So it's true that the noble Dharma and the enemy are both same in the sense that none of them wants to benefit me, but the noble Dharma does not intend to harm me, yet the enemy wishes to harm me. So there's a big difference in this context. In this way, there's a big difference if he says that. Then he says, galte dradi ne jawe samye choja minjina membership do pension na tagi zoba jidar dus. This is really good. these enemies conspired to harm me, I protest, and therefore should receive no honors. But had they worked to help me like a doctor, how could I have brought forth patience? Nice translation. So, so it's not like noble dharma. Noble dharma does not want to harm me, but the enemy definitely wants to harm me. So that's why it's not, how to say, like noble dharma. So I will not make any offering to the enemy. That's true. The enemy harmed me, and I tolerated. I didn't get angry. I was not aggressive. I was very nice. But the merit I have now, why should I dedicate to the enemy? Because it's, see, this is wonderful, because he is arguing about the merit as if there is going to be a bodhisattva who, when harmed, will practice tolerance and gain a lot of merit, and then argue that I don't want to dedicate the merit for the enemy. There probably won't be any such bodhisattva. Yet, while arguing about this, he gives perfect reasoning why we should be tolerant in the first place. Although the argument is about whether or not, after being tolerant, whether or not I should dedicate the merit to the enemy or not, although the argument seemingly is about that, but the actual argument is why should I be tolerant in the first place. So this is really, it's really the depth of this text, and this is not even the depth of this text. This is just the sort of the literal meaning, but it's really wonderful. I think, I wonder how a psychologist or a psychotherapist would understand this text. It could be very interesting. Sort of the way he really understands our mind, and he's really, in a way, he's playing with it, magnificently actually. So anyway. So if I say, yeah, but the enemy wanted to harm me, I practiced patience, not the enemy. They wanted to harm me. They didn't want me to practice patience. They have no such intention. But I practiced patience. So my patience merit I will not dedicate to the enemy. So if they say that, then he says, membership to pensionas, this is so good. It's so good that it's really, it's comically painful. He says, membership to pension. Well, of course, they want to harm you. That's the whole point. If they don't want to harm you, if they want to benefit you, on the contrary, like your doctor, if the doctor really wants to benefit you, if they really want to benefit you like a good doctor, how are you going to be tolerant in the first place? Forget about the argument about whether or not I want to dedicate my merit or not. First of all, you will not even have tolerance. You will not even have any merit to dedicate at all that comes from tolerance, because the person is like a walking, I don't know, like a cheesecake, it's so nice. Like a doctor who is so soft and kind, the whole point of tolerance is that there is someone with, really wants to harm you. Then you can be tolerant, right? This is really an amazing stanza. The more you think about it, you really sort of, even in a mundane sense, you have to admire Shantideva's. The sun's reflection is very strong. You have to admire Shantideva's sort of genius. Anyway, so I stop here. I believe the stanza was 110th. Thank you very much. And I guess I have to say some things like, I don't know, be safe, don't kiss everyone you meet, don't fondle them with your hands, just keep safe distance, and until all these things finishes, then you go about with your life as usual. Sonam di tamje si banyi domni nyebe danam pamje di jagan na je balon truba yi sibe zole drowan drowa Chanju Zimjo Rimboji Maji Banam Jeba the Jeba Nyamba Mebaya Gone Gondo Show Jambal Bavich, the Jamba Nakundo Zambo de Andej. Deda Gunji Jezo Dalo Jingawa Deda Tamja Rabdo Tani Sarap Tamji, the Tembe Kurtin Chervajo, Kurtin Kerwa Mani, Tembanyam Jetoba, simple Samachumor show. May I, in all my lives, carry fast the weight of Buddha Dharma, and if I am not capable to do so, may I always be worried about the longevity of Dharma. Thank you.